Alright, what's good? I know I've said I've stopped drama content, but I'll make an exception for this situation. So, Berlin. Most people call him Xzae, but I like calling him Berleezy. But on a more serious note, I hope Berlin is actually doing pretty solid right now. He's not really looking too good in this situation. He's literally being accused of grooming and pedophilia, if that tells you anything about this. And the age gap is really iffy in this relationship. But before we get into the meats and bones of this video, my name is Moomin. I am an entertainer. I entertain people. Drama content is not my normal content. For those who know me way back then, I used to be a drama content creator, but I quit for my next video uploaded after this one being my very reason. Introduction out of the way, I'll be covering the situation discussing the new allegations Xzae is facing right now, so let's get started. Berlin's allegations go much deeper than the grooming and pedophilia. It also contains side pieces of manipulative behaviors and cyberstalking. All of these claims about Xzae's behaviors are very bold, so I'll be going through the evidence that the document presents and I'll give my takes on them. Starting off with the two biggest, grooming and pedophilia. There is additional context in this document that does kind of have some leeway with these allegations, but let's get to a damning piece of evidence that can prove these allegations leeway.
Me and Xzae like engaged in like, I guess you can call it phone sex. We were on FaceTime, but I didn't physically show myself. It was mainly just like audio, and at the time I was 17. We have done it I think maybe 4 times from what I can remember, maybe 3 or 4 more. I'm unsure, but I'm thinking around 3 or 4 times. The first time we had done it, I remember he was on the couch, on his couch, and I could just see the ceiling. So there's nothing for me to look at. And obviously like it occurred, and out of nowhere I heard a noise in the background, and it sounded like when you record off an iPhone, and obviously this would happen if like the ringer is on. So in this case, I think I was on his phone, so this had to be either on his MacBook or his iPad. I'm guessing it's probably his iPad. And at first I thought I was just kind of like overthinking it because I didn't think Xzae would do that. So I thought that maybe I just didn't hear clearly, and it wasn't that at all. I was a bit skeptical, but then again, I didn't really, think about it after that. And plus, the volume was really low, so I really thought that it didn't occur. I think like the second time, nothing happened. I think I don't know if it was the second or the third time, but like it had happened again. But this time, I turned the volume up, and I heard clearly that he did record. Like I heard the noise, and I knew. I kept doing my thing. It continued. But I think maybe a couple days later, I did confront him and I asked him why he was recording me. And I was, referring to like when we were having phone sex. And he told me like that he didn't think that it was going to be a big deal. So that's why he didn't ask me. He thought that I was all like automatically okay with it. And basically, like, there was like just no malintention behind it. He just thought it was okay. And he thought I would be okay with it. Mind you, I was a minor during this. And he told me that if I felt uncomfortable that he would delete them. I don't know if he actually did. This is what he said that he would do. So I don't know if he still has them or he actually did delete them.
This might count as 1/3 of the evidence that could support these big claims, but I'll throw in some more evidence that comes from the document as well. In this document, it points out that Xzae is 23 and he met her when she was 17. They also bring up the age gap again, along with emphasizing Drea's message that she compared Xzae to Drake when he is nowhere comparable to Drake. Drea, don't make that corny ass comparison no more. And also Xzae sending her a ping pic with the caption, "This is how horny you get me." So for this pedophilic claim, I can see some of the leeway here, but I really just don't think that claim is like really true. Xzae never really had any pedophilic habits that anybody has known of. Like even way before this incident, nobody could really point out anything to Xzae being pedophilic or groomer-ish at all. The only thing that makes it weird is just the age gap. And Berlin met her at the time when he was 23 and he's 24 now, right? But he's never had any pedophilic patterns, to be honest, like before any of this even transpired. Yeah, Xzae might be a little bit of a gooner, but he's not a Hall of Fame predator, like, come on now. And the grooming allegations, well, we're gonna be focusing more on his behaviors. Even though grooming and pedophilia is somewhat used interchangeably, it's stupid, but I can see why, because both involve adults and minors having a relationship, an inappropriate one. In this case, I'm not sure about that though. The tweet bringing the document to light, and even in the document, it implies clearly that Drea was 17, turning 18 when she met Xzae. I'm seriously neutral about this, and I don't know how to feel exactly. Both sides move stupid, it's just that Xzae was a bit worse. I'm talking because of his manipulative behavior, and like, that's all I'm really talking about. But that comes later. Now on to his behavior that represents that of a groomer. One major problem before we get into this is that people love to throw around the word like it's nothing, and there are a lot of senior citizens this year that have been caught doing freak nasty with minors. Xzae is a bit up there, bro, cause he did a bit of freak nasty stuff with her when she was 17, as I showed in the first allegation, bro. Especially with the phone sex. That shit was just embarrassing. For this one, we're going to see if Berlin checks off at least 3 of the grooming behaviors listed within this video. The behaviors being listed, we're not going to go through them in no particular order. Main things you do want to pay attention to when we're getting into this video is that it involves relationship secrecy and exposing them to sexual topics and gaining the trust of the victim. That is the main point of grooming. Establishing that before I carefully dissect this, let's get into Xzae's behaviors. One important behavior that I want to make sure is distinct from Xzae and a groomer. Does he try to keep the relationship a secret? Well, ultimately, no. He mentioned Drea a plethora of times within his live streams. Drea even talks about it and provides further context in this next video I'm going to show you here.
Sometimes I was on call, like, you wouldn't really be able to hear me, but, like, you know, I was there. He would say my name, he would say Drea. And I remember, at least, like, during the breakup, he got on stream, and I guess he was addressing and I think this was like a continuation, because he did a previous stream about like public speeches, and like his call with I don't know who, okay, whoever it is, basically like they had a call, and how like supposedly that she was abused. Like I said, I don't know the facts, so I'm not gonna say anything. And they had reacted to that, and he got triggered. And that very stream, I was on call, and then during our breakup, he did another stream. I didn't watch the stream. I don't remember what the topic was about, but I'm guessing it's also about hopeless speeches. And he would, like, I remember the start, like the first 15 minutes, he was like, yeah, I just haven't been doing so well with everything. And then he said my name. He said like with Drea, and then like from there, like I don't remember what else he said, but like he did mention my name on stream a couple of times after our breakup and while we were together. Do I know if those streams were when I was 17? I'm not sure, and I'm not going to say that they were, because I seriously do not know, because if we actually had the streams, I'd be able to tell you, but because we don't, that's where I'm kind of lost. And during the streams where we were together and he did mention me, he would like, oh my god, I was so flattered by this, but like now it's not very flattering. He used to always like kind of make our relationship very like idealistic, and I remember people in the comments were extremely happy for us, or I think very happy for Xzae that he was able to find love like after the whole Omnia thing. And he would basically like kind of make it seem like our relationship was highly ideal, like there was a good sense of communication, like it was perfect, like how we always argue, but like we always make up, and we always like, you know, and apologize and like stuff like that. I just wish he didn't delete the live streams, because you really could like witness all of that. Unfortunately, I don't have any screen recordings, because then again, like I had no reason to. I was I don't know what it's called, like a moderator for Xzae streams. Like I was the top one, like he put me in that position. Do I still have it? I don't know. I don't care. But like, just to show you that, you know, we pretty much were in a relationship. Everyone was completely oblivious to everything that was happening. And when we were together, like I said, everything was good, and there obviously were bad times. And when those bad times happened, they were really fucking bad. And obviously there were some things that we just couldn't agree to, and that would lead to like the downfall of the relationship. I also remember like with the screenshots I sent you of like the tweets that I bookmarked under his like post that he deleted. Like when this was all going down, I remember viewing them, and I was kind of like in a very like what the fuck type of decision. Ended up not saying anything, only because like I knew that I wanted to speak out eventually, but I think right then and there just wasn't the right time, because like I mentioned, I'd rather cope with the situation and kind of like be able to like grasp it entirely and not act on emotion, but rather like logically. So like there's not any bias or like any like negative response from me. But like the fact that like they said that Xzae was being very mature about the situation, that like to not let other people make him feel shitty for saying his experience. But then again, like I never spoke up. I never said my experience, and it made me feel like bad, and it kind of pushed me away from even saying anything because I don't feel like my opinion or like my perspective was even valued or even valuable to these people. Because like if they think that I was the one that did shitty things, and I'm not gonna say that I didn't. Of course, I think I did a lot of fucked up shit. I've said a lot of fucked up shit, and that's my fault, right? But then again, you know, what they did was also completely wrong in his behalf, and they just don't know the full story. And obviously, Xzae is going to release information that makes him look good and gives him the upper hand, when in reality, this man is not good. And obviously you can see this pattern through me and Omnia.
Before I get back into determining if Xzae is an actual groomer or not, let me entertain this. I don't understand why you would even utter your lips to bring up Omnia in the first place, considering she got her shit clapped like a full-on bitch, and she couldn't even get the outcome that she wanted because she would not stop lying. Xzae presents mountains of evidence that makes Omnia look completely stupid and shows her true intentions behind the scenes. Like, Drea, what are you doing, bro? Omnia obviously isn't a credible source you want to be looking for, at least when it comes to abusive behaviors about Kai, because she already proves herself non-credible, and even Berlin proves Omnia non-credible. Omnia especially proves herself non-credible because the very first thing she decides to do when getting into her abuse story is show a huge archive of deleted screenshots and videos of statements made from Kai about the case, with her saying beforehand that she does not check on Kai for obvious reasons. And on top of that, being the same one to make a projection that Xzae was stalking her. She's a fucking art scrub, but she's not worth any time span in this video. I'm sorry, I just had to hit her with a sharp rebuke and severe correction with that statement. No, it's no you and Omnia. Your situation with Xzae is entirely different from Omnia's situation. There is no you and Omnia. At least you actually have something. You actually have something. Omnia is a fucking art bum. We're not counting her as anything. Drea goes into details into aspects of the relationship while providing reasonable takes and valid reasons for the way she's felt. I'm not sure whether it would make sense if Xzae wouldn't share more detailed aspects of the relationship or not, because at the same time, Xzae is a private person. He was private with aspects of him and Omnia's relationship until things turned out really fucking bad. And at the same time with this situation, none of us knew anything until Drea spoke up to somebody about this. I'm also not sure about Xzae not talking about the age gap. Well, actually, he still wouldn't be a groomer for that, wouldn't he? Because Drea lied about being 18 on her Hinge account.
Me and Xzae met through Hinge. I don't know which date specifically, but we met on Hinge. I had lied on my profile and said that I was 18, and I was actually 17. After we had a brief discussion on Hinge, we started to communicate through my messages. And that's kind of just how we started talking.
But she turned 18 while she was still with Xzae, so now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure Xzae wouldn't be a groomer for his reasoning for dating Drea alone, right? Like, he thought she was 18, and even when she revealed that she was 17, she was turning 18 not too long straight afterwards she said it. But I'll save that piece for the end of the video. As for Xzae giving gifts to Drea in hopes of gaining her trust, the document isn't really clear on what Xzae's intent with the gifts were here. It mainly just highlights how Kai starts giving gifts and buying stuff for Drea, and then thinking that Drea is using Kai as some sort of sugar daddy when he tweeted this at the same time. So the doc writer can't even confirm the intentions of the actions of Kai, and they seem more focused on proving points than actually proving that he's a groomer or pedophilic. And plus, it leaves out additional context that Drea is a high schooler turning 18 and finishing up high school, so this point is kind of moot. So after observing Xzae's behavior thoroughly, it's shaky, but overall I couldn't really find anything that matches them. So we're just going to real quick, I'm going to go to the easiest one on the chopping block, and then I'll move to a tougher one straight afterward. As for Berlin selecting Drea based on her ease of access, nigga, they met on Hinge. He wasn't really being selective of anything, they just matched on a dating app. I'm pretty sure that alone is enough to discredit this entire bullet point, so let's move on. As for discussion of sexual topics, over half of it involves physical touch, and they really never got to see each other, so that one is out for the count. Although Xzae never discussed pornography or introduced the idea of sexual contact to Drea, the both of them did exchange nudes to each other, and I'm pretty sure this was when she was 17. The doc writer clarifies that from Drea herself, her birthday was in March, and this nude from Drea was from February, and February is before March. I'm pretty sure the only thing that makes this shaky is them having sexual contact with the age gap of Xzae being 23 and Drea being 17. This is seriously just shaky for Berlin, and I'm seriously trying to be neutral here. But then again, my mind is doubling back and saying this is what you would assume without the additional context that she's turning 18 in March, so it's not too long after she lies about her age. And then you have the fucking phone sex. It's shaky. It really is very shaky. And the only thing that matters more than the actions is the intent behind it. And in cases like that, I would leave that up for Xzae and Drea to discuss. This is as far as I can go with this. This is just opinions and coverage from an outsider who pays attention to how people move. So take this with a bit of salt. Again, in my personal opinion, I don't really think that Xzae would take it that way. But at the same time, this is as far as I can go. The intentions of someone's actions is for they themselves to clarify and not me. So I'm not Xzae, I'm not Berlin, and I'm not going to attempt to clarify it. And in terms of Xzae trying to isolate Drea, it's seriously very iffy for reasons that I'm getting into in this next section straight afterwards after I get done inspecting this allegation. And a lot of the text messages that I'm going to show in the next section are more argumentative and on the emotional side. Berlizzi emotionally trying to separate Drea from those protecting her would fall in a manipulative behavior category. So next section it is. You made it over the 7-minute mark. Congratulations. You're not a dirt baby who has ADHD or autism. Now that I know your attention span isn't short, I'll keep going over the rest of the claims made within this document. For cyberstalking and manipulation. As for Xzae's manipulation tactics that the document points out, such as using suicide to get Drea to stay in contact with him, and also bringing up the time that she expressed her dad's sexual assault to Xzae and threatening to bring the recordings to her mom. Now, no doubt about it, Xzae's behavior is very weird here, because when Drea caught on to these actions that Kai was displaying in front of her, Kai shut her down and said that she was being manipulative and victimizing herself, along with implying that she was abusive. Also note that Xzae isn't stupid, and Drea also admitted fault that she was a bit of an instigator in the text, so she's not completely victimizing herself here. She just didn't like the way how Xzae was acting. So Xzae's response to this, I'll just chalk it up to him being emotional. Xzae's not dumb. I would also have the right to count this as a trauma response, mainly because of something Xzae said in the past video that I think a lot of people forgot about today, or just don't care, but I'll play the clip.
Being in a relationship with Hana has traumatized me so deeply to the point I have taken every small, inconsequential dispute as something large and traumatic, and in some cases, it has been. I've been profusely defending myself because off-screen, I'm fighting for my life in my own relationship, just as much as I'm fighting on YouTube on my platform. Hana and I would argue so much to the point that the thought of a single dispute would piss me off, because here I am fighting for my truth all over again, and it's best exemplified by this entire drama. The amount of times I've gone off the rails and done things I otherwise wouldn't do in a proper mindset goes to show all of you how much not only Hana, but being a YouTuber has deteriorated my mental state. Having to take so much online pressure nearly every day and feeling like you're the only person who can look at a situation objectively blows your mind. Having all these videos come out about you and not having enough strength and numbers to talk about your side is insane.
Do with this clip what you will. This is just to give you a deeper perspective of Xzae as a person and actually take some things into consideration first. Now, on to the cyberstalking claim. This claim of cyberstalking comes from Xzae trying to contact Drea multiple times with different Gmail accounts, giving her an update on his bankroll, money, to contacting Drea, telling her to call him back, and even going as far as to contacting Drea again in hopes that he can get back together with her. And what he meant by you weren't caught red-handed at the end there, he was talking about Drea cheating. This was about Drea's Hinge account, which Drea goes into further context in the video I'm going to show you here.
For further context, if it mentions like me cheating or like me like looking for this like long-term relationship type of thing, like I told you yesterday, this is when like I had reactivated my Hinge account and everything was pretty much the same. So like I didn't change anything except for like I said, a couple images and one prompt. So everything else that I had put into like my account didn't change. So of course, like whatever came out. I think I originally said I wanted a long-term relationship and I just never ended up changing it. So that's what he's referring to, and he's probably also referring to like the guy I followed on TikTok and just my Hinge account in general.
Drea, after Berlin contacted her multiple times on different emails, she had expressed that she didn't want him contacting her and she just wanted Kai to stay away. Berlin, after seeing this, said, "Fuck that. I'm gonna contact her on different phone number." Xzae is a bit obsessive, sure, but he does want to talk things out with Drea. He made that clear. He communicated that multiple times. Only problem being that Drea doesn't want to talk back at all. Overall, I think Berlin should just drop the ball on Drea. She obviously just doesn't want to talk, but what do I know? Maybe they could establish something? Overall, this situation is very messy. I ultimately would not have done this video, but Berlizzi is someone who I check up on frequently a bit, so I don't really mind. He had to go through character development after he was in the wrong when it came to Johnson and Akumu. He was making a comeback, absolutely decimating Omnia to a black-ass moon cricket, along with cooking other YouTubers in the process for getting involved with his domestic dispute. So really, I think he'll come out of this situation with these accusations relatively okay. This has been my video on the coverage of this situation with this document. It will be linked in the description. It goes into heavily detailed documented evidence about this, along with some fair points thrown at Kai, and ultimately this document is questionable, but it's not bad. The doc writers themselves are pretty fucking stupid, mainly because they tried to validate Omnia's situation of all people. Cause stop trying. Kai easily cleared, bro. That's all for this video. I won't be doing drama anymore unless I make another exception, and immediately I have to make that exception tomorrow because this next one revolves around me.